Inquiry management for teams is designed to enable you as a school owner or administrator to deal with incoming inquiries, put them on a waiting list, allocate them to instructors, or discard them if they are not suitable. It also enables you to transfer students between instructors or return them to the waiting list if required. Let's have a look at the path of a new inquiry. There is a new option under Team called Enquiries, which lists the inquiries which you currently have to deal with. Imagine a new inquiry comes in. Click the Add Inquiry button. Here you can enter the details as you are speaking to them on the phone. The minimum information you need is the intended student's name and contact details. However, the more information you put in at this stage, the better it is, and the easier it will be to match them to an instructor. You also have an area to include specific requests from the caller and an area to include additional notes for the instructor's eyes only. When you come to save the inquiry, you can save it in one of four ways. The default is to save and qualify it at the same time. Qualifying an inquiry means that you are accepting the inquiry as a proposed student. As such, they are now on the school waiting list. Perhaps there isn't quite enough information to accept them as a proposed student. For example, they are on the outside of your covered area and you need to check whether the nearest instructor is happy to accept them. Or maybe they want a specific make and model of a car and you don't know if any of your team can oblige. In these cases, you might want to leave them as a new inquiry until you have had a chance to check. If you find the inquiry acceptable and know who you want to allocate it to, you can do that instead. Taking this option will present you with a list of all your team members, and you can select whichever one you want. To help you, the list also shows the number of students currently allocated to the instructor and gives you access to their diary if they are a MyDriveTime user. Finally, you can add transfer notes, which will be made available to the instructor concerned. If you find the inquiry is unacceptable, say outside the area covered by the driving school or with other requirements that you cannot fulfil, or where you feel that the inquiry is not genuine, you can discard it. This is better than just not recording it at all, so that you can refer back to it if required, and in the future identify potential changes to your business offerings. On the main inquiry screen, there are three different lists: new inquiries, qualified inquiries, and discarded ones. Clicking on each section shows the inquiries in that category. There are different items shown depending on the list. In all cases, you can click on the name to see or change the details of the inquiry. On the profile page, each section of which can be edited, you can see the status of the inquiry in a banner across the top, along with options that are available. Various details about the inquiry are shown, depending on the category, such as when the inquiry was received, the postcode, transmission required, requested start date, and details of any test booked. Those inquiries with the earliest start date are shown first, and in the case where two inquiries have the same start date, the date of the inquiry dictates the order, earliest inquiry first. You can prioritise items by clicking on the star on the left-hand side. This will jump them to the top of the list. In order to identify specific sets of inquiries, you can use the filter box to list only inquiries in a certain postcode area, or requesting a specific transmission. In addition, you can also limit the lists to all those requesting a future start date, those with a past intended start date, and those simply classed as soon as possible. Furthermore, you can limit the lists to those who have a test booked or not. When specifying a filter, all of the lists will change, showing you how many inquiries now fulfill the entered criteria. If you are not sure whether an inquirer has contacted you before, using the global search to enter their name will show whether they currently are a student being taught or whether they are on an inquiry list. Click on the name to go to the individual's profile. Inquiry management for teams also allows for students to be transferred from one instructor to another, or indeed back to the school if required. In addition to administrators and school owners, team members also have this ability. To transfer a student from an instructor to either the school or another instructor, go to the student list and select the student you want to transfer. The screen shows the student's current instructor, and you can access the relevant details by clicking on Transfer Details on the right-hand side. This will show you the details of the transfer of this student, which can be as simple as who allocated them to you, or can be details of their learning history from their previous instructor. Additionally, if you click the Context menu, you have an option to transfer the student. This will present a screen very similar to the allocation screen, except that you can also transfer the student back to the school. In either case, you can add notes at the top and then choose who you wish to allocate them to. It is important to use these notes to pass any relevant information to the recipient of the student. If you transfer the student back to the school, they will arrive as a new inquiry on the new inquiry list and can then be qualified, allocated or discarded in the normal way. When the new instructor looks at the student who has been transferred to them, they can see the relevant transfer details, including any notes written at the time of the transfer, a summary of their driving journey so far, and details of their progress, plus any current lesson themes. There is also an option to see the previous student record if there is one. This will show the details of the student before they were transferred, including details of their driving history with the school. In this way, if the student has been transferred multiple times within the school, you can track their entire history through all their previous instructors. There is a lot to inquiry management for teams, and there is still a lot to come. So watch out for the next part. Until then, thank you for your attention.